Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about episodes 1, 2, and 3 of HBO's new series, Nine Perfect Strangers. Now, I know I'm a little bit late with this one. If you want to know why, check out my future state video that I also posted today. But I struggled with whether or not I wanted to cover these 3 episodes one at a time, like dedicate a video to each episode, or just one video to all 3. Ultimately, I landed at doing a video for all 3 because I feel like when you release these, when you premiere these shows, when you put out the first 3 episodes at one time, they're kind of meant to be consumed in one sitting or as one collective, like 3-part episode, as opposed to 3 separate episodes, like you see with Ted Lasso right now. Is getting a little bit of a backlash, and the people involved with the show think that's tied to the fact that they created it with the idea that those first 3 episodes were going to come out at one time, and they didn't. They came out week by week, and they felt like that kind of like messed up the vibe that they had for the show. So, I look at it like if you decide to put out the first 3 episodes all at one time, I'm gonna look at it from a perspective of like you wanted us to consume these first 3 episodes as essentially one 3-part episode. Plus, like the first episode was kind of like very introductory. Like, here's who this person is. Here's who this person, and you just learn who everyone is, who the major players are. And I feel like that's not a worthwhile video for me to just sit here and kind of run that down, even though that's very literally what I'm gonna do at some point. But I didn't want to do that just for that one episode. Like, here's episode 1, and I'm just gonna talk about who's who. Whereas I'm gonna talk about some other things in this video, as opposed to just that one episode. So what I want to start with is this show is inevitably going to draw comparisons to The White Lotus, right? The White Lotus just wrapped up on HBO. This comes out within like a week or a couple of days even. I don't even know if we went a full week after the White Lotus finale before this premiered. And they have similar concepts, right? We got a bunch of rich people in a fancy resort dealing with rich people shit. The only difference is I feel like tonally the shows are very different. The White Lotus is very subdued, I think. It's muted, even in color, kind of. Like, it constantly has like almost like this what's the word for that? Kind of like brownish, like, was it like sepia filter almost kind of on it? Like, it looks very muted in tone. In appearance, whereas Nine Perfect Strangers is a lot more upbeat, a lot more vibrant. The characters are even a little bit more vibrant and personable, boisterous. Whereas, like, the characters on White Lotus are very, again, just like I said about the tone, kind of very subdued, very not very over the top or anything like that. And it's 2 very different vibes, I think is the best way to put it. And neither vibe is better or worse than the other. Like, I like both vibes. Like, I can take both of those vibes. I don't think one is particularly better. It's just a matter of like kind of like what mood you're in, or maybe you might have one that you feel is more interesting, where like you might need your characters to be a little bit more boisterous and energetic, or you might need your characters to be a little bit more subdued, so that you kind of got to read in between the lines a little bit more on what's going on with them. Like for instance, with the White Lotus, we don't learn too much about these characters' backgrounds. It's not relevant. These are people who come from wealth, people who come from privilege, and we are there to share the experience that they have at this hotel. Whereas Nine Perfect Strangers, their backgrounds are imperative to the show, because we need to know why they are at this place. Because this isn't just a resort. This is like a therapy kind of like getaway self-improvement kind of deal, right? So this is one of those things you seek out because you have something going on, and you either want to improve that, or maybe you have something going on and you just want to get away and relax. But we need to know what motivated them to go there. As the White Lotus people were just on vacation, and so that, I think, is the biggest difference between the 2 shows, is that, the White Lotus takes these subdued kind of characters. There's one other difference I'm going to talk about in a moment as well. But it takes these kind of like subdued characters, puts them in this resort on vacation, and then events unfold. Whereas this, wants us to know where these Nine Perfect Strangers wants us to know where these characters come from, what motivated them to feel like they need to go to this place called Tranquillum. Terrible name, by the way. What motivated them to go to this place? And then we got to see, okay, what's going to happen to them while they're there? Not just like a series of events unfolding, but they're going there for a purpose, and they're expecting to go away with something. So what's going to happen to them while they're there? Also, I think the humor styles are different on the shows as well. White Lotus is a little bit darker humor. It's a little bit like of a kind of humor that most people aren't even really gonna get as humor. It's a lot more subtle, a lot more nuanced, whereas Nine Perfect Strangers has humor, but it's a lot more of the direct kind of humor that you would expect to find, like, you know, like you might see in a Marvel movie or something like that. Something that anybody would laugh at. Whereas like the White Lotus is like, it's only gonna make certain types of people laugh. And even me watching it, I'm like, I get that's what you're doing. I just still don't find it funny. I did every now and then, but again, the comparisons are inevitable. I think the big difference here and why or how one show may end up being better regarded than the other is that Nine Perfect Strangers is trying to do a whole lot, because you have 9 characters here, nine guests who arrive at this this Tranquillum place. And again, we need their backstories, and we need to see what happens to them while they're there. Then you have Nicole Kidman's character, who is the head of this place. And then she has 2, I'll just call them employees that work for her that are there as well. So you have 12 characters, and they're doing background stuff on all 12. So you're getting background stuff on 12 different people. You have events unfolding present day while you're there as well. And it can just make it feel really jumbled. And I can see, critics and fans and viewers levying criticism, like, it felt like they, certain aspects of the show or certain characters weren't given enough attention, weren't fleshed out enough in favor of other ones being fleshed out and built up more. And I think that's where the show, it could end up tripping up. And then also right now, even after 3 episodes, I still don't know what the fuck's going to be going on at this place. I don't even know. And this is one of the flaws of the show that I'm going to get into, is that I think there's a very different vibe between when we're talking about the characters' past and the characters are talking to one another and we're learning about them, versus when they're actually going through their day-to-day therapy type events at the resort. 2 very different tones and vibes. And I feel like they make me feel like the show doesn't know exactly what it wants to be at this point. But more on that later. So where I want to continue right now, I was about to say start, but I've already fucking started. What I want to continue with right now is what I think Nine Perfect Strangers will inevitably knock the White Lotus upside the head with is the cast. This cast is not just deep, it's deep with some pretty powerhouse actors, and they are already showing ass in these first 3 episodes. And by contrast, right, I knew all of the actors on the White Lotus, but none of them are really ones that jumped off a page to me. I like Connie Britton, I like Steve Zahn, Sydney Sweeney I've seen in a couple of things, but nobody where I'm just like, holy shit, so-and-so's on this. My favorite character on the White Lotus was Armand, and I don't know if I've even seen him in anything else before. But and we know nothing about Armand other than that he had like a drug issue in the past, well, and in the present day. But that's the only thing we know about Armand, and Armand still managed to be the most entertaining and interesting character to me. But point being, I don't even know that actor really from much. Like, I think I've seen him in, it was something I know I've seen him in, but like, it's not somebody who jumps off the page to me. This, however, like, you can't take your eyes off of Bobby Cannavale in anything, man. Like, I wish I could see my hands when I'm talking. I'm doing like that Trump shit where he's doing like this. But like, you can't look away from Bobby Cannavale. Like, he's incredible in everything. And you got fucking Michael Shannon here, who I just know is gonna crush it. Melissa McCarthy is not your bridesmaids Melissa McCarthy here. She's bringing humor for sure, but she is bringing far more than that. And it's very clear to me that those 3 are going to fight it out for best character on the show. And there's nothing in the White Lotus acting wise that's even remotely sniffing what we're going to get on this show. Like, we got some, and there's people who think that Nicole Kidman is good too. More on that train wreck later. But, they've got, and that's just the top 3. I mean, you got Regina Hall here. You got Melvin Gregg, who's been showing out on Snowfall as of late. You got Who else am I forgetting here? Gosh, I know I'm forgetting somebody. I said Michael Shannon, Melissa McCarthy, Regina Hall, Bobby Kenner. Oh, Luke Evans. He's also on here. And they just got a whole lot of powerhouse actors on here, and they're already showing out. So let's talk a little bit about this cast, right? So the concept of the show, these 9 people arrive at this resort and they're trying to, just chill out, get fixed, feel better about themselves, whatever. And they're bringing all their baggage, literally and figuratively, to this resort. And they're interacting with one another. They're learning about, they have no idea what's going to happen to them at this resort. The things going on there are kind of strange, and we just see them kind of just dealing with that. So starting with Michael Shannon, he arrives with his wife and daughter. We find out that, this is a spoiler episode, by the way, so I'm going to tell you what we've learned so far. We found out that his son committed suicide 3 years prior, just before his 18th birthday. He was the twin of the daughter that they have with them at the resort. And Michael Shannon is playing a very positive character who is using that to mask his pain from his son's death. And they use the language, they use very specific language. Like the daughter mentions it, and she says he stopped living 3 years ago, which told me that he committed suicide. Because if you say he died 3 years ago, it makes it sound like death was inflicted upon him, like it happened to him. Where she said stopped living made it specifically sound like he decided he didn't want to be here anymore. And then they actually reveal that later. But yeah, so they're dealing with that pain. He's overcompensating on the positive side. Meanwhile, the wife is overcompensating on the negative side and snapping at everybody and being generally kind of rude and unlikable. And the daughter is kind of just like, why are my parents pretending like, why is my father pretending like everything's cool? Even looking at my mother struggling, he's still pretending like everything's cool, like this is all supposed to happen, kind of shit. Very kind of like, whatever happens kind of an approach. So we have that. We have those 3 right there. Then we have Melvin Gregg's character Ben, who arrives with his wife Jessica, who is having issues with the concept of being merely a trophy wife. She wants to feel like she has contributed more to life than she has so far, other than just being someone who's pretty. She has self-doubt. She doesn't truly believe that she's pretty. And then she wonders why her husband doesn't really seem to be into her anymore. Husband Ben, again, played by Melvin Gregg. He just apparently, he comes in a Lambo, and you think like, what the fuck does this guy do? And we find out he just won the lottery. Nothing special there. So that's 5. Melissa McCarthy, she's a former, she's an author who is currently looking like she's about to no longer be an author. It seems like nobody wants to fuck with her. She's dealing with a lot of self-doubt as far as her worth as an author and as a person. Been through 2 failed marriages, got catfished. She's dealing with a lot. And she's doing a great job, Melissa McCarthy is, of balancing that inner pain with the outer kind of like, I'm still trying to be... I'm still trying to hide all the pain that I'm dealing with. So you have her name's Frances. That's 6. You have Luke Evans. We don't know too much about Luke Evans' character. We know that he's gay. And we know that he is very intent on secretly keeping his devices around. They confiscate your devices, your phones, all that good stuff. He's hiding shit around there. So we have him, that's 7. His name's Lars. And then you have Regina Hall's character. Her name's Carmel. Can't really get a read on her so far. She's very eccentric and talkative, but has a temper. Very strange character so far. And that's 8. Who am I forgetting? Is Nicole Kidman the 9th, or am I forgetting someone? Bobby Cannavale. He plays Tony, a former football player who, according to him, was better than Rob Gronkowski. And he shattered his knee, and he's been dealing with like pain meds and shit like that. He's addicted to medication. Has a pretty interesting personality. So lots of interesting characters that clash. Lots of interesting backstories. We're learning more and more each episode about each character. And they're doing really good work with that, I think, so far. I mean, that's something that's going to be tough to juggle. But then you have their dynamics within the resort, right? They're going to these weird kind of sessions and having these conversations. And this is where I think the show falters, is that it kind of seems like it doesn't really know what it wants to be, because when they're there, things get a little bit weird, wonky, almost to the point of like, am I supposed to be taking this seriously? Like, I felt like I was supposed to be taking this show seriously, but like now they're digging their own graves and laying in them while people are throwing dirt on them and telling them that they're gonna be revived. And like, like I would get up and walk out like, this is fucking stupid, I'm leaving. So like, it is almost feels like to the point of satire. Like, am I supposed to be taking like this whole this form of healing that Nicole Kidman's character is trying to do? Am I supposed to be taking this seriously, or is it supposed to be a joke? And it doesn't help that Nicole Kidman's character, I don't even know if I'm supposed to take seriously, if it's supposed to be a joke. Because Nicole Kidman to me is like the epitome of like elevated white mediocrity. Like, I've never seen Nicole Kidman in anything where I thought she was great. She always has this bland, soft-spoken, lifeless delivery. You take that and now you give it a pretty bad Russian accent that seems to kind of like come and go. And I'm thinking like, is this just a shitty performance, or is this supposed to be satirical? Like, and I'll be honest, I was expecting to not like Nicole Kidman going in, because I generally don't like her in anything. The problem is she always chooses great projects. So I generally like the things that she is in. I just don't like her in them. But yeah, I don't find Nicole Kidman's character to be better than laughable. Like, I can't take her seriously at all. Like, the accent comes and goes. It's not very good. And then you got her doing all these weird things. She's got her own shit that she's dealing with. It looks like somebody's stalking her. We know that she was clinically dead at one point and was brought back to life by one of the people who works for her now. And those two people have a past and history as well. And it looks like they might have some sort of like three-way, not quite sex thing with Nicole Kidman's character, whose name is Masha. But at the very least, there's like a sexual tension there, and maybe like a competition between the two employees to kind of like gain her affection. So there's so many different dynamics going on that this show needs to work with. So a whole lot going on here that, again, right now I feel like they're doing a fairly good job of balancing, but we're going to see how that's going to play out over the course of the next, I think it's 10 episodes. So over the next 7 episodes, how that's going to play out. Let me see if I have anything. I've covered all the characters and their backgrounds. There is a couple of other things I want to talk about. I don't really want to get past 20 minutes, but I'm getting up there. So, Michael Shannon's character is, I don't want to say predictable, because he wasn't. The character itself isn't predictable, but from the moment that I saw that he was masking his pain from his kid's death by being overly positive and kind of like something of a doormat, I knew that he was going to have a big scene at some point. And he has that scene at the end of episode 3, and it's great. It is great. And I just can't speak highly enough of how commanding he, Melissa McCarthy, Bobby Cannavale are when they're on the screen. Like, those three are fucking crushing it on this show already. But it was somewhat predictable. I knew that was going to happen. And again, I knew that he had a son that committed suicide just from, like, you know, I can't say reading into, because the way she said, like, he stopped living. You know, we were meant to glean from that he committed suicide, but then they actually explicitly state it later. But a little weird. I mentioned that I feel like the show doesn't seem to know what it wants to be once it kind of like moves into the resort stuff and their day-to-day therapy sessions, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think I'm about ready to wrap up. I've covered, I think, pretty much everything that I want to cover so far. I do think this show is worth watching. I am interested and invested enough, particularly in the performances, to continue watching it. So I'll continue covering this week to week. Today is Tuesday, August 24th. So episode 4 comes out tomorrow. I'm going to put this video out today, Tuesday, August 24th. And then I will watch episode 4 tomorrow and put that video out as well. So there'll be 9 Perfect Strangers back to back on this channel, and I'll continue to cover it throughout the rest of the season. So far, I do think it's pretty interesting. Again, very different from The White Lotus, but similar in the concept. It's going to draw those comparisons. I think The White Lotus leans itself more toward critical acclaim, whereas this kind of lends itself more toward fan acclaim. Like, I feel like people are going to watch this, your normal, regular, everyday television watch are going to watch this and find it a little bit easier to consume and understand and digest and be entertained by than White Lotus, which I feel like is a little bit more for people who are going to get, I really don't like using that term, but who are going to get the style of television and writing and what Mike White wanted you to get from that is gonna only appeal to a specific type of viewer. So again, two very different shows, but I think this one is good enough to hang on to for now. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 4. Peace.